When the number of cats is large, the mouse is forced to flee or give in to the fight and die. Mauhan arranged a meeting with representatives of Hamidi company, who had entered his company as an economic partner and investor and at the same time as a protective shield. He arranged this to realize that private town and the obstacles facing it, especially the accusations of land grabbing and the sensitivities of the people, newspapers and even politicians who could have brought the matter to a standstill. Mauhan said, during this time, several companies cancelled their contracts with my company and did not provide a very valid reason, although I am used to these events and precise decisions of 90. But in the long run it will cause great losses to me and my company's reputation. As you yourself saw in those cases, the mouse or mice of the company know everything and will lose from those points. Farker said, who do you suspect? In this competition at this high level, there are enemies and rivals and even newspapers and journalists, and those who do everything for the benefit of their own faction or group that they call mafia. What you are talking about is from insiders or someone who has worked and been in contact with you before, from dismissals and reprimands to resentments that exist towards you. That's right. You can't please and keep everyone. After all, for the sake of the work and interests of the company, some people are dismissed and some are replaced. Farker said, apart from that spy, we are moving forward with that company's project in stages. We have a specific number of buildings and landscaping with all the necessary amenities and facilities. We have an objective and indicative example to present to others. And if we encounter a lack of budget, high prices or changes in conditions and laws, we can show ourselves flexibility and not be in a done deal. Okay, we are moving forward accordingly, but that mouse. Fakir smiled and said, when the number of cats is large, the mouse is forced to flee or fight and die. The increase in mice is due to the abundance of food available and the absence of cats and birds of prey. Mauhan also smiled. I completely agree. The meeting ended and Mauhan left his office with Hamidi's representatives. The good thing about my work and my being in the company was that I had no direct business relationship with Mauhan. Arman had taken me to a department that was mostly under his and his loyal entourage's supervision. He had half hidden me. I was working when one of the employees in that department came to me and placed a few files on the table in front of me and imperceptibly pointed to a sheet of paper that had stuck out from among the files in the shape of a triangle, and then walked away. I started to review and complete the file, paying attention to my surroundings, especially to Arman and Mauhan, so that they wouldn't appear like Jen. I took the paper out of the files and looked at it. The letter had a few requests for me and at the end it had a reproachful and reprimanding tone, asking why I was hesitant, half-hearted, neutral, and without a plan. Me and them playing neutral. It was ridiculous. I was the host of Arman's programs and I was trying to play my best game against Mauhan. And they didn't bother themselves and didn't give me a plan. They ignored and didn't take into account all my feelings, being human, and shortcomings. They hadn't seen the end of John's mother after a lifetime of living in luxury and comfort and dealing with her husband's infidelities. But I saw that Mahmoud and his wife, who had lost everything by not having children and spending billions, didn't even want to try adopting a child. I wrote down the phone numbers of myself, Mauhan, Arman, Mona, and everyone else in their lives and mine that I knew were in them on a piece of paper, and at the end I added some long, complaining sentences to it. Sometime later, the same employee came to me, took the prepared files, and gave me a small piece of paper. Destroy it. The same paper he had given me. I poured tea on it, and after a while, I tore it into the smallest possible pieces and threw it in the trash. In his villa, Arman turned to the girl who, unlike Raha, had shown her talents and abilities during her trip with her uncle and cousin and had proven herself outside of it. Nida, I am so glad that I got to know you better. You are more ambitious and confident than Raha, and you don't have her helplessness and greed, and you don't mix work and feelings. This is the first time I'm signing a contract with someone. Nida laughed and said. Raha suddenly fell into a paradise she never thought she would. Being free from an extremely religious and dictatorial family that wishes for their destruction and burning to ashes. She is stuck between you and Mahan. But not me. I have been very rational and cautious in my life. I have shown you a few ways to attract people's attention, enrich them, and deceive them. I can be a very good two-faced person. A good and close friend to Raha who is controlling her in line with your goals, and in the second person, someone who advances your goals with the least suspicion. Mahan is completely focused on Raha and the possible spy and the person behind her. Mona and their mother and Mahmud and his father and his mistresses. We are throwing so many different problems at his head that he will not understand where and from where he is getting it. And even if he did understand, he would not be able to do anything wrong. Arman laughed and said, Yes. But you know that this is what makes you dangerous, even for me. A female devil next to a devil like me. Nida stood in front of him in one breath and slowly moved her hand on his shoulder and neck. As long as you are honest and stay and don't try to bypass me. This cat lady and female devil will stay by your side and with you and save you when necessary. Even by sacrificing the girl who is her best friend and like a sister, you are also a danger to me. But we can get along together, isn't that so? Arman stared into her eyes when Nida suddenly pushed him onto the bed. Now it's time for both of us to calm down, my dear.